Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see here on our channel, on our website, or our social media. Reach out to me directly, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing a watch originally sold in 2009 and made in only 25 pieces. This is the extraordinary Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore Tourbillon Chronograph, and it's a rubber clad. This thing is absolutely off the scale. 44 millimeters in diameter, 13.2 millimeters thick, so not as thick as you might think, but broad, 57.1 millimeters from lug to lug, and if you include the rigid intermediate links, these little plots, its actual distance across the wrist is a beefy 62.3 millimeters. It's hefty. There's a lot of precious metal here, and you feel it. I can't recommend the watch for a wrist my size. I think your wrist needs to be at least 17 centimeters circumference before you can wear this watch. However, it's thinner than I would have expected. For a chronograph, a tourbillon, and a 3-day power reserve, this is a fairly slim case that will fit underneath the dress cuff. Could it be your dress watch? Yes, but only if you've got the wrist to pull it off. There's your over the top, there's your cuff shot, and there's your down the barrel. It is overlapping the edge of my wrist quite a bit. Now, taking a look at the strap, it's the AP Diver strap, which I think is a perfect match for a rubber bezel. The strap has striations molded in to extend visually the intermediate plots. You can see it's cut, not molded, so in profile it has a little bit of a bevel that matches the beveling of the case, and then it's a handsome satin finish that mutes the light reflected. There is a full Audemars Piguet deploying clasp. It's the logo style single fold, all in high polish in red gold to match the case. And rolling back to the case, you can see you're getting the standard of finish you expect with a Royal Oak or an Offshore. Satin laid down manually against a wheel, an expanding bevel artisanally applied, thinning out at the mid-case and then flaring over the lug hoods. The strap is held on with screws and bars, which is the only way to put together an expensive and heavy watch like this. Spring bars are not welcome here, and AP understands that. The character lines of the bezel continue through the mid-case and the case back, and when we roll around to the crown side, you can see the shoulders for the chronograph pushers as well as the crown itself are hexagonal, referencing the traditional hexagonal bolts in the bezel of the Royal Oak or Offshore. But this being an Offshore, the bolts are stainless steel. You'll also note that the crown guards here have been beautifully beveled, and though they appear to be screw-down chronograph pushers, they are in fact shouldered, so you can actuate the chronograph without screwing them in or out. Now, in case you're wondering, and a lot of people do, yes, underneath the vulcanized rubber, the bezel is made of rose gold. Now, the dial, it's not the mega tapisserie you get on a standard Offshore, it's the grand tapisserie, and that's to your advantage because the mega is stamped, the grand is cut on a pantograph lathe, as is traditionally the case on the jumbos and the automatics. Now, you can see the dial is a little bit extravagant because of its size. That beautiful hobnail transferred by the pantograph mimicry engine has then been galvanized black, rose gold radially arrayed, Arabic numerals, and you can see some of them have been cropped by the sub-registers and complications. There is a little sloping ray outboard for reading minutes and fractions of seconds, and then you have polished rose gold chapter rings for your constant seconds and your chronograph minutes. The tourbillon carriage itself, and we're going to get as close as we can, is black polished, and you can see there's 2 interior angles, and they do have a nice sharp crease. You can also see that this is a high-end, high horology chronograph, and as the chronograph approaches 12 o'clock, you can see it is a semi-instantaneous jump. Now, the tourbillon is not just black polished on its upper bridge. The tourbillon carriage itself is black polished and its spokes are beveled. It is free sprung for durability, and it has a handmade overcoil hairspring, so it beats concentrically in any position. This helps to reduce gravitationally induced timing deviation. You'll also appreciate that there is engine turning on the base plate below the black polished components of the tourbillon. It beats away at 21,600 vibrations per hour, and note there is loom. We will have a loom shot. Inside the case, we have Audemars Piguet Renault Papy constructed caliber 2889. Since 1992, Renault Papy has been the wholly owned high horology subsidiary of Audemars Piguet. They built, for example, the Bentley Mulliner tourbillon, the original Alango Unzona, Tourbillon pour le Mérite, and they built the really high-end Richard Mille complications, and they also build this movement. Manual wind, 21.6 beat rate, 25 joules, 72-hour power reserve. It is a column wheel and a lateral clutch chronograph, and you can see both the polished caps of the column wheel and the movement of the lateral clutch. Everything has a mirrored hand-laid bevel. There's an engine turning on the base plate, and across the spare bridge is Côte de Genève. While the standard Audemars Piguet movement will be a combination of hand finish and mechanical finish, what you see here is almost exclusively manual and excruciatingly so. It's also precise, adjusted in the high horology standard of 5 positions, just the way a chronometer would be. You can also see that the satin finish has been executed on the steel chronograph lever horns, yoke, and recentering hammers, and the edge of these steel components has been beveled just as with the brass bridges. It is a beautiful looking movement. It's a sporty watch, but not a hardcore sports watch in every sense, as at 20 meters water resistant, this one's going to want to stay high and dry, but for all other occasions when you want to make a figurative splash, what a choice. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And we're back with the Royal Oak Offshore Tourbillon Chronograph by night.